Rejected.
Thank you. Member for Scenic Rim. I call the member for Ipswich.
Thank you, Deputy Speaker. I rise today to speak on the Waste Reduction and Recycling Waste Levy and other legislation bill. As the member for Ipswich, I support this waste levy, and I thank the Minister for Environment and the Premier for their work in reintroducing this sensible policy to Queensland. The Newman LNP government's reckless removal of the waste levy in 2012 had a disastrous impact on this state. It resulted in Queensland becoming a cheap dumping ground for interstate waste, and it diverted investment away from Queensland's recycling industry. Evidence from other Australian jurisdictions and from countries overseas show that introducing a waste levy has resulted in better management of waste resources and, importantly, the development of new waste recovery industries. Deputy Speaker, this bill has great significance for the Ipswich Electorate. The 2017 investigation into the transport of waste into Queensland by the Honourable Peter Lyons reported that the majority of interstate waste coming across our border since 2012 has ended up in Ipswich waste facilities. Here in Queensland, we're also generating record amounts of waste with no incentives in place to divert it to recycling and recovering processes. Waste facilities in the Ipswich local government area are accepting the bulk of this rubbish. The Remondis landfill at Swanbank and the Tea Tree landfill at Willowbank both accept in excess of 500,000 tonnes per annum of putrescible waste, accounting for around 1/4 of the total waste disposed in Queensland. Two other major landfills in Ipswich that accept inert waste, the Cleanaway landfill at Newchum and Landtrack's Swanbank landfill, together accounted for another 1/4 of total waste disposed in Queensland. South East Queensland's landfill capacity is rapidly being consumed, and if we continue on a business-as-usual inert landfill capacity in South East Queensland, it could run out by 2022, and putrescible landfill capacity could run out by 2034. Deputy Speaker, Queensland has one of the lowest rates of waste recovery in Australia. Only 45% of our waste was recovered in 2017-18. This is an alarming figure, considering that in the same year, Queensland generated a record 10.9 million tonnes of waste, an increase of 11% on the previous year. The amount of waste we're generating in this state is actually increasing at a faster rate than our population growth. We've also seen a shocking 37% increase of interstate waste, with 1.25 million tonnes crossing the Queensland border in 2017-18. In fact, since 2012, 3.5 million tonnes of waste has crossed our border, with most of it ending up in Ipswich landfill. When the waste levy was removed by the LNP government, Queensland became fair game for interstate profit-driven waste operators and transporters. New recycling and recovering facilities that were set up when the Bligh government introduced the waste levy in 2011 were either mothballed or scaled back after the levy was scrapped in 2012. Businesses that invested in recycling and recovery suffered financially, and our rates of recycling across Queensland flatlined. Removing the levy in 2012 meant that Queensland missed out on a great economic opportunity to grow our recycling industry and, in the process, create more jobs in Queensland. More than 9 jobs, as we've heard from the Minister, are created for every 10,000 tonnes of waste that is recycled, whereas less than 3 jobs are created for the same amount of waste sent to landfill. The waste levy's removal by the LNP government has also had a demoralising impact on the electorate of Ipswich, with constituents telling me that they're concerned by the concentration of waste activity in the Ipswich area and the proposed expansion of waste facilities in Newchum, Swanbank and Willowbank. Constituents are worried about negative impacts on the local environment, air quality, their health and quality of life, social equity and property values. The need for a waste levy in Queensland cannot be understated and can no longer be ignored. We need it to stop the interstate trucks coming across our border, and we need it to kick-start investment in the recycling industry in Queensland. The levy will form part of a comprehensive waste strategy for Queensland, which includes a suite of initiatives to stimulate growth in the sector, including our government's own $100 million Resource Recovery Industry Development Program. Considering the substantial amount already invested in Ipswich by the waste industry, I believe this waste levy presents a golden opportunity to Ipswich to become the centre of a thriving recycling and resource recovery industry in Queensland. This would be an industry that Ipswich people can feel proud of. I commend the Minister for Environment and the Premier for reintroducing the waste levy to Queensland and for coordinating a broader waste management strategy for this state. Everybody I talk to in my electorate is managing their own household waste differently, and it's incumbent on government to act and to move with this cultural shift that we're seeing in our community. And I'm really proud to be a part of a government that is acting on this cultural change, and I commend it to the House.
Thank you, Member for Ipswich. I call Member for Noosa.
I would like to commend and thank the government for